Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of Learning Curves. I am so excited for this episode. I've been waiting for this one for a while. I have a guest here, Shannon Spring. She is an animal communicator and psychic medium for animals. And wow, I think my audience is going to be so excited for this. I know so many of you have animals at home. A lot of my friends have animals. My daughter is sitting here listening in the studio audience, and she's going to be possibly a vet one day. So she was super excited for this interview. And we also have Rocky. Come here, Rocky.
Hi, Rocky.
Hi, Rocky.
Hi, handsome boy.
Come here, Roxy. Say hi.
Girl. Hi.
Yeah, so we have Rocky and Roxy joined us today, so they're excited as well to be part of this. And so thank you so much, Shannon, for being here. How exciting.
Your daughter, or your intern, was apologizing for Rocky getting slobber on me when I came in, and I took that as a bonus. So you could charge people for that, right?
Yes, he could tell right away that there's something there because, but my puppy's usually very shy, and she came right up to you. So.
Hi, pretty girl. Well, thank you for having me here. I'm super, super excited to talk with you. And I'm also a people medium.
Okay.
So animals and people here and in spirit, literally wherever you or your pets are living or transition. Sometimes I'll say transition or past as opposed to deceased. We can talk to them.
Oh, wow. Oh, this is going to be a great episode, and just so many questions for you.
I'm going to be very distracted by them. So
That's okay.
I'm going to spend half of my time making out with your dogs.
Yeah, they're a bundle of joy for us.
Yes.
Well, so let's get started by having you. How did you get started in this? Like, how did you know that you could talk to animals?
This? So it's interesting because when I was much younger, I also wanted to be a veterinarian like your daughter, but I was lousy in science. So, but luckily, I don't have to be good in science to do animal communicator. I like to say I don't have to read labs to read Labradors. And of course, we have a Labrador here today. So when I was a kid, I was doing a lot of weird stuff, but I went to Catholic school, which, as you can imagine, was frowned upon. And when I lost my very first dog, Teddy, at 10 years old, I was sent to the school priest to talk to him about losing my dog. And he said, "Shannon, dogs don't go to heaven." And I said, "Yes, they do. And you should never tell a 10-year-old girl that her dog doesn't go to heaven."
Oh, no.
Yeah. And well, but
that?
the good news is that as such a young kid, I knew that what he was saying simply wasn't true. You know, it was like, "Hey, man, I'll listen to you do that and say your prayers and we can sing songs together. You're not going to tell me about my dog's soul." I know about my dog's soul, and he lives on. And I saw my dog actually leave his body when he passed. So that's my first dog. Shout out to Teddy in heaven. And I've had many dogs since then. And now I work with animals of all species. And by all species, I mean all species.
Yeah, I saw that on your website. Like, so you talk to a bear or a giraffe.
Yes. Any species, any challenge, anywhere. I have talked with a bear named Sniffer. He's in my first book. And when I was doing a reading for Sniffer, I do have an office that I work from, but like all of us who work from home, sometimes we'll work from bed. And I was sitting looking at Sniffer's photograph on my iPad. I was talking to him about the bear hunt. So something really, rather sad and tragic. So we're having a very serious moment. And as often happens with animals, just like people and comedians, they like to add levity into a situation. So while talking to him about something very serious and sad, the next thing I knew, I felt this whap on my back. And I shot up forward, and he said, "Well, this is pretty sad, Shannon, but there's always sex. Am I right?" I was like, what is even happening? And I will censor the rest of that story. But it's intense. Their emotions are intense. Their abilities to communicate. No matter the species, they have deep feelings, thoughts, hope, desires, dreams, and fears. And some people might think that a bear doesn't have an opinion on the dress that I'm wearing or on your two dogs here. I guarantee you, if I start talking to Sniffer the bear, he can give us insight into your dogs, not just me. So animals can give opinions on each other. I can ask Roxy about Rocky and vice versa. And they will tell each other secrets sometimes, but really only if it's needed. Other than that, they're pretty pretty
Do
good
they tell
about
you that this dog's really annoying me right now?
they definitely can do that. And what's interesting too, Kelly, is that sometimes people think their pets don't like each other when really it's just something very minor that needs to be tweaked. Like, hey, could you just feed us separately, please? So we're not on top of each other. And then all of a sudden the rivalry fades away and dies down, and now they're friends. Or you might think they don't like each other because this one is new and this one we've had for a while, when really it's the fact that they just don't like how excited they are. They don't like that they're always getting in their face, and you just make minor tweaks and minor changes. And again, you can work through a lot of problems, just like people. You can't fix every problem, but you sure enough can fix a lot.
Yeah, it's interesting how they do communicate with each other.
Yes.
I know that I have Roxy right now, but before that I had another golden. Her name was Lexi, and my kids are like, "Get another dog, Mom, get another dog." I'm like, "No, that's just too much work, too much trouble."
Right.
But knowing that, you don't want to leave them alone by themselves all the
Yes,
time.
yes.
So we ended up, even though I'm not a cat person, we bought, I always said I bought my dog a cat. And her name is Smokey.
Oh,
But it was so
nice.
into that cat was so scared. She'd hide underneath the couch, wouldn't come out at all ever, was just so scared all the
Yeah.
time. But when she would come out, we would find her hanging out with Lexi. Lexi was her best friend, her everything.
Oh, wow.
So the two of them just had this sweet
That's beautiful.
relationship
Yeah.
that she just loved her so much. But it was so interesting how they would communicate with
Yes,
each other when
they
they didn't
do.
see that you were looking. It was you most when you came out. They would Lexi would be like, "I'm not paying attention to the cat. I
It
don't
was
like
their-
the cat."
their secret.
But you'd have to kind of peek around the corner and watch them.
Yeah, I've hid some of the people I've been dating before too. So all of us have our little secrets, right?
Right.
Yeah, but they do. They communicate with each other. They communicate with us. Even people who don't think that they have abilities, your animals are communicating with you. And pay attention to them. You really have to get out of your head and into your heart. What do you feel that they're saying to you? What do you feel is the right thing to do? Our heads can mess us up. Our hearts are always right. And animals, of course, live in their hearts.
Yeah, they certainly do. They certainly do. So what's one of the number one reasons people call you?
Definitely, is my pet ready to transition to pass? What is wrong with my pet? Behaviorally, emotionally, medically, gosh, all of a sudden they're super depressed and they're not playing anymore. Are they in pain? So I can tune into what they're feeling in their body. And it could be, oh, the people are going through a divorce and I don't know this. So the dog is super depressed because he knows that people are getting a divorce, and maybe the woman hasn't even yet made up her mind she's going to divorce her husband. And the dog is like, they're fighting all the time. They're miserable. They need to call it quits. Time to part ways. That information coming from the dog could literally be the good thing that helps that person leave a relationship. Enough is enough already. We're making our pets depressed. Let's fix this. Either fix the relationship or get out. So people will call me when they think something's wrong with their pets. They're thinking about getting a new pet. Maybe they're concerned whether or not it's time for the pet to pass. Mm-hmm. They're getting ready to have a major life change. A baby's coming on the way. I also do baby readings, so I can talk with the animal about how they feel about the baby coming into the world. Literally anything and everything is possible. There's nothing weird to me. And every time I say there's nothing weird to me, something exceptionally weird will happen, like within 24 hours, to be like, are you sure, Shannon? Like the bear.
Yeah.
I said, nothing's weird to me. The next thing I know, I'm getting slapped on my back and hearing inappropriate comments from a bear in Minnesota.
I guess by doing that, it could help prepare the family
Yes.
for whatever they're about to endure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know recently with my dog, we got, she got sick and then took her to the vet, and basically they said she has cancer. You need to take her home, say goodbye, and bring her back. And we were like,
Shocking.
what?
Yeah.
We weren't ready to do that as a family. So
Sure.
of course I went and got a second opinion.
Yeah, right. Another
And the
vet.
vet said just take her home, and you'll know when it's time. But we had one day with her, which was Christmas, which was the best day. We couldn't even believe how she came back for that day.
Yes, right. Yeah. And I always tell people it's interesting after people have
Makes me
lost.
sad to talk
Yeah,
about
it is. It's very difficult. I have many of my animals in heaven as well. And it was like the number one thing that I used to not be able to handle people telling me about before I was doing this professionally.
Oh, I bet.
Because it can make us just sob instantly. I spend so much of my time now in the afterlife with animals and with people, my own and others, that I have a new way of going through life where it's almost like a strange tolerance for it because I know this isn't all there is. And two things on this topic, well, many things, but when you lose your pet to the afterlife or you pass them off, I like to say on graduation day, they don't lose their name. So I noticed when you said, her name was Lexi. Her name still is Lexi. So she hasn't lost her name.
That's
and
good.
one of the things that our pets would like for us to do is keep talking about them like they're in the present because they are.
Yeah.
Lexi is very much still present here while we're having this conversation. Absolutely. They don't lose their names. They don't lose those identifying characteristics. I don't remember the other things. There's so many things about the afterlife that there are to know. When one of my dogs passed in January, on the way to the vet, I had hoped to have somebody come to my home. Wasn't possible, so I took him to the vet. And on the way there, I stopped at a traffic light, and I heard very loudly in my ear from one of my dogs in spirit, I heard, "Listen for the laughter, listen for the laughter." And I went, man, that's hands down the best death coaching advice I have ever heard is listen for the laughter. So I took him, and I'll, spare you the sad parts, but at the very last moment when he was taking his last breath, I looked right at Jack, and I said, "Listen for the laughter." And the vet went, like a dog, like, did she just say, "Listen for the laughter"? And, I just sort of smiled because there's so much laughter that awaits our pets and our people that people would think we're insane if all of a sudden we lose a human loved one or an animal and we burst out laughing, right? I said to a friend the other day, I said, imagine you see a widow at a funeral home, okay? And there's her husband, he's in the casket, and all of a sudden she just is wildly laughing. You're going to be like, is she crazy, right? Or you're going to say she murdered her husband.
Right.
One of
One
two
or the
things,
other.
okay? But there's what's behind door number
Yeah.
3 is that she's actually feeling the energy of her husband's spirit that is so lit up with love and laughter, you can't help but celebrate a little with them. It sounds so messed up. I understand this. I have 13 dogs in heaven, and I love cats as well. I am an aspiring cat mom, I say.
Yeah, I think that's true. Like
Yeah.
when somebody dies and you're in that really emotional state, you do tend to get a little giddy during
Yes,
that time period.
it can make you deliriously giddy. And I was filling up. I had 4 dogs at the time. I now had only 3 bowls to fill. So if that's going to make you cry, that's going to be something that makes you cry. And I'm standing in the kitchen and I'm going to fill the 3 bowls. And so I'm like, oh, I don't want to cry. So I start mindlessly scrolling through Facebook. Okay. Stupid
Yeah.
distraction. Spirit, meaning our animals or our people, can find us anywhere through any mechanism, any medium, so to speak, not just me, but TV, radio, books, the environment, nature, on how to get us a sign. So I scroll through Facebook and up pops this little meme. No cartoon, no photograph, just words. And it said, go find the nearest book. Turn to page 18, line 4. Now, if you saw that, would you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like,
Of course I would.
like, what is this?
Yeah.
And as soon as I see this, I'm like, oh, there's magic. There's magic that is afoot. And just the day before, I had reorganized all my books. I'm a huge reader. I have a lot of books. I have books back from 2020 that are still coming up in my queue, to read. So I just organized the books the day before, and I'm like, okay, which is the nearest book? And I walked towards the hallway. The book on top, I would have been happy with just this. The number 1 book on the top of the stack is called The Magic of Dogs. And I'm like, okay. That was enough of a sign for me. It's part of the Chicken Soup for the Soul book. But I had to follow the rest of the instructions. Turn to page 18. The name of the chapter, Always With You Still, about the afterlife. Go to line 4. It's about a dog named Jack. My dog's name. So literally, my dog reached me through Facebook to go get a book, follow instructions, follow the breadcrumbs. There's a book called Magic of Dogs about the afterlife, about a dog named Jack in line 4. And numerology-wise, the pages, adding up the pages, the chapter number, the line number, added up to my birthday.
So how does an animal, with our busy minds?
Yes.
I know my mind is
Right.
so cluttered.
Yeah,
with
which
so
is how you do
much.
what you do.
And it's just constantly going. I don't even know if anybody could get to me because it's so crazy. when do these visions or when
Yeah.
does this come to you?
Yeah. That's a perfect question. So, and that's true for all of us. We have so many things competing for our attention, including grief. And one of the number one ways that our animals or human loved ones reach us is through our dreams. And then you'll hear people say, I don't remember my dreams. Fair enough. When you go to sleep, write a little note or say out loud, I intend to remember my dreams. Or you can say, Lexi, please help me remember that you come to me in my dream tonight. They will help you. Be prepared to lose some sleep. Just then you can get woken up right after a dream visitation. And if you have a dream about your human loved one or an animal loved one that has passed, and it's a happy dream and it's a good dream, that's a visitation. That's legitimately their soul visiting you. That's their spirit. If it's a nightmare, that's just your ego. That's your busy human mind creating problems and chaos for you. Your human loved ones, your animal loved ones, they're safe, they're well, they're happy. Everybody has a different story. You know, I can't tell you right now, everybody in the audience, what your people and animal loved ones are up to unless I'm working with you privately. But I can tell you that they have arrived safely.
Yeah.
Nobody's in danger. We're not passing them off into the great abyss. You know, they're not going to your vet. They're going into spirit, which is unlimited.
Right. That's so interesting. So when you're communicating and you're hearing all these things going on, does that take you away from being present in normal life?
Yeah, it's very strange. When I'm in work mode, I am in my most focused. That's all. I am body, mind, soul, spirit, 1,000% focused and attentive, no matter what else is going on in my life. When I'm in a reading, it's the most hyper-focused I ever am. Probably also when I'm decorating my house. I'm very focused on that as well, you know. But
times when that comes to you.
Yeah, but so there's so many different ways that they can get our attention. But in terms of, you know, does it make me crazy? No, not at all. Because, for example, when I first met you, or when I first met your dogs, let me use your dogs as an example. When I first met your dogs, all I was thinking was, oh my God, you're so cute. I love you. You know, and yay. And just, I'm in celebratory mode with them. Just, I'm being a dog with them in that moment.
Yes.
In order for me to pick up on a message that they want to send me, it's like the slightest bit of a shift. Almost like, you know, when Clark Kent puts on his Superman cape and he goes into the phone booth, it's just like a little bit of a shift where I would pause, and after I'm done smooching and putting lipstick all over them, I would say, you know, Rocky, what is it that you want me to know? What would you like to say? And they might say, oh, tell Mom she looks pretty today because she was crying this morning. Okay, thank you for that. Were you crying this morning?
No.
Okay. So, but that's the type of thing that can happen.
But they know when you're upset.
Yeah. Or they'll say anything. Hey, Shannon, as long as you're here today, you know, can you mention the fact that we'd really like to go for an extra walk, or we really don't like that new food? And I'll say, okay. So like the Rottweiler in St. Pete that was walking past me, his number one goal was tell my person not to quit vet school. So he cut through me. Now, one of the ways he was able to receive me, though, was I was receiving him. He's walking down the street, man, and I'm like, well, let's look at that nice Rottweiler. So I'm admiring him. He picks up on my energy. A nice exchange.
Okay.
Every single animal and person that's walking by me isn't giving me messages, or I'd be crazy.
Right.
You know, then I'd be like laughing, not in the good way. But it's fun. I mean, above all, it is so much crazy fun. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I have a friend whose cats I used to read. They're now in heaven, and they drop in still. But they woke me up at 3:00 in the morning, and they said, Shannon, tell Mom that we want our room painted purple. And we want a big mirror in our room so we can admire ourselves. And I'm like, what? This is what you woke me up for? Like, this couldn't wait? This is not what we call an emergency. And I do emergency sessions. That does not fall under an emergency. But they're cats. They don't care. You know what I mean? My time is their time. And I had to ask myself, like, do cats care about what color the room is? Like, can they even see that color? So just because they give me a message doesn't mean I have all the sub answers. But one of my major jobs and ethical responsibilities is don't censor anything. So imagine I receive that message, paint our room purple. And my human mind goes, cats can't see color. Or they don't really want their room purple. And then I never tell their mom this. Now imagine all week long, mom has been trying to decide on what shade of purple to paint their room.
Right.
So never, ever, ever censor a message. It's not for me to analyze. It's not for me to interpret. I am the messenger, and so many other things can ripple off. So they did end up putting a mirror in the room, and they sent me a photograph of the two cats staring at themselves in the mirror. They have their requests just like people do. Yeah.
So is it true, like with the different personality types too? Because you know how the cat is like more like very the cat's all about the cat kind of thing, and you know the dog's more I want your attention. I'm the people person. The cat's like, well, you can have your attention when I want you to give me attention, but other than that, don't give me attention.
Yeah.
Are they really? I mean,
I would say
do they
that,
communicate that way too,
yeah,
kind of?
I would say that some stereotypes are true, but animals, no matter the species, are very individuals, just like people. So I wouldn't say that all cats are, you know, sassy and snarky, and all dogs are loving and friendly. It's not true. But some of the things will prove true. Cats, if I could make a generalization, one of them that I would make big time in favor of cats, they are just as loyal and loving as dogs. They just express it differently. We've heard of, like, what is it, the 4 love languages or the 5, whatever the heck that is. Animals have that as well. So for dogs, it might be affection, whereas for cats, it's I'm going to help you get your life together. That's every bit as loving as a dog coming up and slobbering on you. We just might not perceive it that way. I think cats this makes me want to cry, but I think cats get such a bad rap and get untreated very fairly by people because cats are self-respecting. And cats do have boundaries and standards. And if you have healthy boundaries and standards for yourself, guess what? You're not going to have a problem with the cat. So to all you people that are mean to cats, like, look at yourself, you know, and see, like, where can you clean up your life? Where can you hold yourself to a higher standard so that you're not offended by an animal that isn't all about you? It's not like Marsha, you know? So I think cats have as much value as dogs do, and then some. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, there was a cat recently who there were 3 grown daughters, and their elderly mom had a cat for a long time. Let's just, we'll call the cat Boots. So 2 of the 3 daughters wanted to put Boots down because all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Boots had started attacking the mom. The elderly mother's getting scratches on her and, getting a little torn up. So naturally, 2 of the daughters were like, oh my God, we got to put the cat down. Bad cat, bad cat. Third daughter's like, we need to call an animal communicator. And thank God, I put on my Superman cape and answered the phone that day. And that this woman even knew that she could call an animal communicator, because a lot of people don't even know that, my breed exists, so to speak. Like, it is real. I'm real. What I do is real. So she called me up and said, hey, Shannon, can you help us figure out what's going on with Boots? Well, like, let's see the magic. Let's see what's really going on here. Because I'll tell you what I'm not going to say is that's a bad cat. That's not going to happen. So I asked the cat, I understand, that lately you've been kind of marking mom up a lot. I don't say understand that you've been a real jerk lately and you're about to be killed if you don't change your behavior. Whoa, mind my manners, don't be rude. It's a lot like I'm a guidance counselor. Imagine a kid all of a sudden at school getting in trouble for bullying, and I come in and go, why are you being such a little beep? I'm not going to do that. I treat animals with the same kindness, compassion, love, and non-judgment. Right, children? Oh, it's so true. So true, right? Am I the best kisser in the hotel? All the single men. Shannon's the best kisser out there, okay? So I came at it from a very non-judgmental approach where I said, hey, Boots, what is it that I need to know? Is there something?
Oh, look.
Oh, hi.
She's like, don't forget about me.
I would never forget about you. Hi, children. So what is it that you want us to need to know? Why are you trying to get our attention? And, the cat is, number one, feeling relief. All of a sudden she has an ally. She already knows that the people have been talking about putting her down. So if you're talking about having to put your animal down for some reason, be aware they know you're having the conversation. So the cat said, well, thank God, Susan called you about this because mom's being over-medicated. The other two daughters were buying the mom the same prescriptions at two different pharmacies. So mom's getting like double and triple the medication sometimes. The cat's a cat. What's the cat going to do? Call the pharmacy, call the doctor, call me, telepathically she can. But so I was able to say, who's been giving mom her medication lately? I said, how many medications is your mom on? I said, don't tell me the names of many medications. How many is she on? The mother was on 14 different medications.
Oh my God.
I'm not a physician. I'm not a veterinarian. I don't care what's wrong with you. You do not need 14 medications, So we reviewed actually with the cat, with the mother, the protocol, and we were able to get the mom help and save the cat's life. Right, children? Yeah. So it had a happy ending. And a lot of these stories, they don't have happy endings if people don't know an animal communicator exists, or they go to a wrong animal communicator who might not understand that there are multi-layers to their messages.
So most of the time when an animal is sick and you have to have that communicate with them, and you mentioned that the family, is talking about putting them down and they hear that.
Yes.
Can you talk to me a little bit more about that? Because obviously all of us pet owners have gone through that.
Yeah. I would say, number one, be very aware that whatever you're talking about has energy. So animals don't speak English or Spanish or French or German or whatever it is. They speak energy. And so when animals are picking up on like what you and I are talking about right now, they're getting snapshots of things that we're saying. So if I was sitting here saying, I have 4 dogs at home and they're real good boys, blah, 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 they can see what's in my mind or what's in my heart and pick up on that. And then they can go, oh, the little one, that tiny one, is that the one that you were saying about the back issue? So animals, when they're communicating with me, will send me sounds, words, images, feelings, sensations. They might send me a book title, a movie title, a food product, whatever it is that can help their particular situation. But whatever conversation that we're having, Kelly, whether it's upbeat and happy, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this new project that I'm working on, da, 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 da. They don't know those words. They know excitement, energy, emotion, and whatever snapshots are coming off of my mind to them. So they can get a visual on it. My animals knew I was coming here today. And I can tell you that the 4 mutts that are sitting in my house right now know that I'm having a blast. So that when I come home, they will greet me much differently at the door than if I was somewhere having a really hard time.
Right.
Before I've even walked in the door, they have already adjusted their approach as to how they're going to greet me based on the energy I have been sending them since I've been away from home. This is fantastic. They are like adorable. And I'm so glad that they're having so much fun.
It's all day long in the office, tumbleweed of dogs rolling around.
So if you're talking about something as serious as their health, or whether you're not going, you're going to be, maybe having to put them down, I would say include them in the conversation, where be respectful. So let's say, for example, we're talking in front of a hearing impaired person. Okay, I happen to have an uncle who's deaf. And if my uncle is sitting there and I'm speaking with my mother about his health, he's in the room. He can't hear the words, but it would be very rude for me to be talking about him and his life without including him in the conversation. So if I'm talking about one of my own, for example, my dog Jack, who passed in January, I'll use him as an example. When I was aware that Jack was going to be passing, I spoke with him about it. I spoke with the other 3 dogs about it. And I said, in a few weeks, we're going to be sending Jack to heaven. And Jack will be greeted by, and I named many dogs and a few friends. And this is a big day for Jack. And while we're sad that we're going to be missing his body, we're excited for Jack because Jack's getting ready to graduate. And Jack is going to be free of his body. And I'd be petting Jack as I'm talking to him about this. So I'm including him in the conversation. It's nothing to hide from them. They already know. I'm more talking about the people who, well, I'm going to put that dumb dog down, or, well, he's costing me too much money. People say horrible things about their pets, to their pets, and around their pets. If you're a good person, knock it off, because they do pick up on the energy. Animals don't fear death. If that's one piece of comfort that I could offer to you or to other pet parents, they do not fear death. What they fear is suffering and our pain. They don't want to cause us any pain. So I'm sure that Lexi is thrilled that we're having this conversation, if in fact it ends up bringing you some comfort, which I certainly hope to do.
Yeah.
And for many other pet parents that I spoke to a women's group a couple years ago, and I stood in front of the group and I said, how many of you guys are disappointed or more skeptical that the woman here to talk to you about animal communication is not a Native American elder? I said, how many people of you are more skeptical that a middle-aged white lady is here to talk to you about animal communication? And everybody kind of laughed, because it was an unfair assumption that because of my race or my gender, maybe I don't have these gifts or I can't do it. Maybe there's somebody who looks like me, my evil twin, who can't, but I can. So we began the conversation, and I looked at the room full of people that were half with me and half totally skeptical, which is usually the case. And I said, it's hard for me to have a poker face, but I did pull it through for this one little trick I played on the audience. And I said, I don't believe animals go to heaven. I got very serious. The whole audience was like, people are reaching for their salad knives to stab me. And I said, I don't believe animals go to heaven. I know they do. And I said, there's a big difference between believing and knowing. And it's a game changer when you experience the fact that your animal's souls, I don't care what you believe in. It doesn't matter your religion. It doesn't even matter if you're an atheist. Souls don't need you to believe in them to exist. The weather, nature doesn't need for me to believe that the sun's going to rise tomorrow. It's not waiting on Shannon Spring to go, okay, I believe in the sun now. It's going to rise. It's the same thing with spirits, whether you're an atheist, a Catholic, a Buddhist, whoever you are, we are more than our bodies. So you take that up in the comment section.
So I guess one last thing. Can you do a little something with Roxy here?
Yeah.
And Rocky, do one for Rocky and one for the...
You sweet baby girl. Right on cue.
Yeah.
You right on cue. Yes, you good girl. So I can tell people a little bit how it works before I do something with them, which is that there's nothing that's off limits. I don't control the messages that they give. They say whatever they want to say. And as their messenger, it's my duty to deliver whatever it is that they say, however they say it. If I start tapping my ear, it's because they're saying, I'm hearing something. And if I start kind of looking in a different direction, I'm not distracted. I'm just zooming in on an image that they're sending me. And so it's going to sound goofy and it's going to sound a little made up. But the first thing that I heard from Roxy, and I'll get some more doggy type questions, was she's commenting on lipstick. Like, will I get to wear lipstick if I'm on camera? And what will that be like? Will I get to be like, she's just showing having a little, almost like a big bow or like a big celebration of her new self and her new personality coming out of her shell. She likes the idea of being decorated and celebrated. Obviously loves her brother. That's stating the obvious. So whenever you're working with a medium or an animal communicator, you should legitimately hear some things, number one, that you already know, okay, or some things that are going to make sense. Like I saw your dogs out running and playing earlier.
Yeah, actually, Rocky's his dog.
Yeah. So
they are brother and sister.
Out having fun and playing and having a good time. So I already know that about them. So that would make sense. But I don't know anything else about them other than what I've observed here so far, and I know that they've lost a sister named Lexi. So let's see what Roxy wants to share. Well, that's cute. So regarding Lexi, she says, big shoes to fill, but I can fill them because I'm not trying to actually wear her shoes. I'm trying to walk next to her shoes. And she says, isn't that smart of me that I know not to be like Lexi? I know to be her sister. And as sisters, I'm not going to compete with her. I'm going to help her. And I'm going to help in the part that she most needs me to help, which is bringing grief, relief, and comfort to mom. And she says that be very careful about what you watch. So you said something to me before we began that I said, oh, bring that up on camera. So you're talking about watching TV and the things that you watch on your phone. And did you say that she watches TV? Did you say that earlier?
She started to, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Right, so you
I'm
had
still
said-
grieving over my
Yeah,
dog.
that's
so
okay. It's all good. So you had said earlier something about her watching TV, and I said, ooh, that's important. Now, anybody could have said that, and I wouldn't have thought that it was important. But for her, it was, which is why I was like, let's talk about that on camera. For her, she wants you to be very careful about what you're watching on TV because it is triggering you for better or worse. What movies you're watching, what videos you're watching, and that she's flashing to a client of mine, and anytime this happens, that means that there's a correlation, there's a parallel between this person's story and yours. And I was working with someone's dogs who said, Mom cries herself to sleep every night. And I said, well, Carol, why did not you tell me that you're crying yourself to sleep every night? And she burst out laughing. All of a sudden, I'm confused now. Like, why are you laughing? I said, you're crying yourself to sleep every night. What's going on? And she said, oh, well, I watch Lifetime movies every night. And they make me cry. And her dogs were like, knock it off, Mom. Stop watching Lifetime movies, because they were already dealing with her grief over losing her husband and her sadness. So she's saying all comedy all the time. This fact that I brought up Phantom Pups, watching kids' movies, watching things that fill your soul, and that actually open up your mind, Kelly, because you're already so open-minded and receptive to opening yourself up to the afterlife. I'm telling you, you guys, if you just read an article about the afterlife, even if you're disagreeing with it, there's no way. That can't be true. Okay. Guess who's going to continue the conversation? Your heart and your soul while you're sleeping, while you're out in the world. And that's all that needs to happen. And she's saying that her biggest job with you is just to continue to remind you, open the windows in your heart, open your mind.
Well, I think that thank you so much for talking about the dogs and for being on the show. You had such an interesting.
Oh, I just, want to stay here and take a nap with them. They're so so cute. Yeah. And MJ is going to now want to talk. Any one of the animals that aren't included will be they want to get the name of my book is Open Mic for Animals. And it's they want to be handed the mic because she obviously has a bright and shiny personality as well. Just seems like they've all been very well matched. I can say that, where I don't think anybody feels threatened by anybody or anybody has any problems with anybody. Can you verify that? Yeah. So that's very good, because I've dealt with some situations where the animals are duking it out on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's very scary, and it's very heartbreaking. But a lot of the times we can fix it or make it a lot better when we find out what the answers are. Animals will come up with not only what's causing the issue, but what can help it. And most of the things that they have as solutions are cheap, easy, and free. So it really can be very helpful to reach out to an animal communicator. We don't take the place of a vet or a dog trainer, but we all complement each other very well. And where dog trainers leave off with just let's control the behavior, animal communicators are, why is the behavior occurring on a much deeper level than just the surface value of a jealousy issue or this and that. For example, the story I told you about the woman who, a domestic violence situation, dog trainer might not know that. I can now have that information, and if I have permission, share that with the dog trainer, who now goes, oh, this goes way deeper. Here's why the animals are battling each other. She might be able to put Band-Aids on the situation with fixing the behavior. But if you have something serious like that at home, someone has cancer and they're trying to get an attention, someone's getting hit, anything. Even on a good news, somebody's pregnant. In fact, there was 2 cats that were destroying each other. And the woman said, Shannon, can you figure out why these 2 cats are murdering each other? Yes, that's what I do. And the 2 cats, both of the cats, it was a boyfriend and girlfriend that moved in with each other in their 20s. And the cats go, do not procreate. I was like, I'm not going to procreate. But they were talking about the couple. Don't procreate. And I said, wow, again, I'm just the messenger. Please don't take offense. But your cats really don't want you guys having babies together. And I know, can you imagine being the one who says that to somebody and they've just moved in?
Yeah, because they're not meant to be together.
Pause, cross, your birth control doesn't fail. And then the cat took it up a notch and said it was the woman's cat said, check mom's birth control. And I'm like, what? Now the cat's saying this in my ear. So I'm looking at the woman, but I'm hearing check mom's birth control. So I said, your cat is adamant that you check your birth control. Well, here we go. The person says, what? I don't know what she's talking about. Now, you know what I'm doing. I don't smoke, but I would take a candy cigarette and be like, wait for it. Wait for it. And then all of a sudden the woman goes, oh my God, I have a birth control implant and it's been expired for 3 months. And I totally forgot about it. Like, what? She goes, how does my cat know my birth control is expired? Which is like, how do you not know? You know? So they really do know everything about us because they're so in tune with us. It's freaky. You know, it really is. In all the, if you're doing the right thing and you're a good pet parent, none of us have to be perfect. It is never, ever, ever about being perfect. Perfect is boring. It's really about looking at things from their eyes, their hearts, their experiences, and being the best people we can be. That's ultimately the goal. Just have a good heart, live a good life, forgive yourself when you make mistakes, which we all do.
Yeah, no, that's all great advice. So if I wanted to contact you,
Yeah.
you have a website and a Facebook
Have
page.
your dogs call my dogs. Send out a telepathic intention. And then, so I have my website has all my information, which is my name. It's shannonspring.com. And all of my social media handles are at Mayor Puppy Pants. So MAYOR Puppy Pants, PANTS. All of the links are on shannonspring.com.
Okay, and then we'll make sure that we include them all in the show notes as
Great.
well, so you can contact her that way. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for being
And I'll
here,
have a podcast
Shannon.
too, so tune into my podcast and we'll have you on.
Yeah, I love that.
And the children. Roxy can be my
Yes,
first
that's
guest. That'll be quite the
Say, I'll be a guest.
quite the event. She'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Great, pretty girl. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. At CEA Marketing, we take your business, your passion, and your why, and we sell it. If you're unsure where to start marketing your company, CEA Marketing is here to help. Our team at CEA has tons of experience and top-notch training, which helps you take all the stress and confusion out of marketing your own business. After years of working with large companies like Pulte Homes and Metro Places, we guarantee the successful implementation of a marketing strategy.